Are you hosting us to a nice dinner?
Hosting you to a nice dinner.
Oh, lovely.
There's soup and bread.
That's
Butter for your bread. Is it often you run across things that should be long lost in the history books?
Recently it seems so.
I sent Appellant Knight after it. They've got one job on this.
Does Andrew know about the
I don't know about the shadow.
Andrew doesn't know about the shadow yet.
Dag nabbit. Well, there you
Sorry,
go.
what are we talking about?
Okay, well, the shadow that attacked your group last night.
Can we retcon this conversation?
Are we all here at dinner? I was going to tell you about the shadow on the way home.
This is over dinner. We are all here eating.
Can we say we discussed the shadow on the ferry back?
We discussed the shadow on the ferry back.
Oh, okay. So, yeah, sure. We talked about it.
Information acquired.
Yes.
Journal entry added.
Yes. So that was a surprise on my part. How much did you all know about that business?
I know the shadow was not running a gang 5 years ago. I would have heard about it.
I would like to think that I would have heard about it before last night as well, but here we are.
We didn't expect it to be here, but it is the reason we're here.
I see.
We've been having more going on in Wands. Didn't expect to find that here, though. Although we knew it was involved with the bank.
If we had expected it to be here, I would have told you, but I didn't want to burden you with more than you needed.
Now, what would have been perfect if I was able to connect any of the Shadow's funds to any big people, but I don't think that happened.
Thanks.
That's pretty good, though. That's good. That's they met my low expectations.
They didn't quite meet mine. I expected the bank to be harder so. So what are you gonna do now? You got a shadow running gang in your town.
Yeah, and I'm going to do my best to stomp it out as fast as possible. I don't want that thing inside my town as
Bed.
anywhere near. Yes. And I can at least use the Appellant Knights as they're intended.
Not many of them around at the moment.
No. I got one.
You might want more than one.
The more I'll make sure to get him. If I get word that it escaped, then he's not going to be having short shifts anytime soon.
The children in that gang, I would bet that most of them don't know what they're doing.
I imagine so.
And they've probably been trained very specifically to deal with the normal ways that shadows get dealt with.
Okay. Were there any ties? Any other threads, or was that the main thread that you were following? Anything I can follow up on?
You could take care of the gang I left leaderless. The new leader is going to be... Are just going to pick up where Miles left off.
I'll look into it.
I don't know that Ardor has the same connections to the Shadow. I don't know how Miles got connected to the Shadow.
If you find that out, I would like to know.
There was a name. It's Timaeus.
No, does not ring a bell to me.
Oh. Who was it who said that?
Miles' father?
In connection to, yeah, what did he say about him?
I wanted to know... I wanted him to tell me... I told him to tell me who was who he was reporting to. Who was funneling the money through. There's no way Miles was the person in charge of that. His gang's fine, but they're not.
If they
They're
were
not equal to shadows.
if they were working with the shadow, I would assume that
How well
She
funded
wasn't-
are we talking about? I know obviously there was enough funds to send you over to Bond.
that was a small portion of what they had. It was 200.
Well, we can at least connect, try to figure out who is sending, all the people who are sending money to that account.
No one was sending. There's no records. No records.
It was
all-
just Miles.
It was all cash. Have you been to Eastside?
Paying attention. Yes, I work here.
There are no records.
200 the quarter.
There are memories. There are contacts. That is how the world runs Eastside.
Indeed. Well, I can hope that my job will get easier, but no.
With your current crew.
No. Well, I can try, I'll keep my ear out for a Timaeus.
Timaeus.
Timaeus. Just going to throw this out there. Dardaniel, mean anything to you?
Yeah, I don't think.
Again, that was wishful thinking on my end. But I got my own little mysteries to attend to as well.
Who's Danielle?
I don't know.
Where'd you hear his name?
A guy at a bank. A banker.
Shockingly, power and money flow alongside each other.
Indeed.
Which banker?
Did I ever get his name?
Yeah, you did get his name.
It was like 4 months ago at this point.
All that matters about that name is that you would recognize it.
Was it the one whose office I walked into, or the one whose office I walked past?
The one who had been let go for making accounting mistakes.
Nigerovis Tamron Ursa.
I asked for his name. I have it somewhere.
Well, I say the name. This guy's already dead.
He was let go because he made too many accounting mistakes.
Huh.
Yeah, so...
But you were there in the room when other Andrew said his name when I asked.
Yes.
Are you gonna follow up on that?
Already have.
That's slow.
Be nice, Andrew.
And
Well,
what's
if I
next
had
step?
more help, maybe we can get it going, but I have...
I don't think quantity is the problem here.
With a guy as little connections as I do, you'd be looking for a little bit of quantity.
That is why they made you Centurion, isn't it? They knew you wouldn't actually know who was running anything.
Not quite, no.
Why'd they make you Centurion then?
They had two other guys. They killed each other.
That is the worst plan I've heard. So
Yeah.
they didn't have a fifth lineup?
Nope.
What do you mean fifth?
Well, you always plan the first and second killing each other, and then the third and fourth probably going to duke it out to death too. You need plans.
Who was
They
fourth?
probably did.
They didn't even have a fourth, apparently. He was third.
Well, he didn't die.
Only because there was no fourth.
Maybe he wasn't willing to start a fight.
Was there a fourth?
I beat him in votes. Guy had a stroke.
It's lucky for you. By a stroke, do you mean falling over spontaneously kind of stroke, or a stroke?
More of a with family members had a stroke.
Sucks to have that family.
Yeah.
So what's going on?
I'm following up up on a port city, Burinda. So in any case, I'm investigating the Dardaniel name over in Burinda, as well as looking over at munitions over here on the east side. Something is going on, and a lot of things are going on. The shadow was not part of my calculations.
Join the club.
But that's you're all headed back to Wand, I'm assuming?
Yes.
You all
Says
learn.
Timaeus.
We are so heading back to Wand.
Yeah, I assume the school is still going.
We have no more business here, not at the moment.
Very good.
Not that I have a lot of business back to school either. Cleared my homework for a few weeks, but I might as well finish out.
Okay, well,
Why do you think Eastside is centralizing? Because of all places for a shadow to exist, you would have expected that one to hang out there in the first place. But just moved in. And I thought Father was working on his own. I was surprised to hear he was working for someone. It's weird for the gangs to be working for someone.
well, if I can follow a thread that ties the shadow coming here to east side, the munitions, and to the munitions here, that would be very lovely and would make more sense.
The shadow has been connected with East of East much longer than he has been physically here in East.
Okay.
Because he was paying my tuition for 2 years. But he's only been here regularly. I've only been out of contact with him for 2.5 months, 3 months at this point.
My how time flies when you're having fun.
Yeah. The only information I really got from the banker was that something is up in East Side, very much so, more so than usual. Or rather, it's all boiling up at the surface. Which may mean that people have made mistakes. So it might be easier to pick up on some threads. So I'm going to be looking into Eastside Port very soon.
And who's going to be looking into the kids?
That would be...
You'll have to call on magistrates.
I got magistrates. And,
Well, yes,
Yeah.
but the kids who don't want to come. The kids who actually know what's going on.
How many of them do you think that is?
All the kids the Shadow's with. I don't know. I don't think Arter would know what's going on.
would there be a way to contact them? Make contact in any way?
We know they're...
If you're asking me if I'm trying to help them, yes, I'm trying to help them, but if I can't,
Well, the best way to make contact is to get stolen back from.
well, true that.
Walk through with a bag of gold in your pocket,
Hmm.
and you will make contact with probably lots of kids in the side.
Yeah, well,
And then you just have to pick which gang territory you want to walk around in.
setting that idea to the side.
all of the kids in the Shadows gang are talented.
They are.
Statistically
Coincidental.
unlikely.
That is
How does
the probability of that being so is very, very.
How does he find that many talented kids? Of course, it's a shadow. I'm sure he would know one when he sees one, but there aren't that many.
He doesn't find talented kids.
Does he make them?
Yes. And
That
generally,
was a thing that could happen. My mind is blown.
you should read more.
Or talk more to you.
Another time, Andrew.
I don't think there's any books that I have access to that talk about granting talent to untalented individuals.
Well, this is your chance.
Well,
I don't know what the Shadows' tactics were with these kids here in Eastside. But I don't know if it is a necessity or just a perk. But the people, the shadow, people who will do what the shadow asks, people who will do what the shadow wants and accept the gifts that he gives, are people that have nothing else to lose. And I think he's rearranged his numbers and realized, rather than taking everything away from someone so they have nothing left to lose, he finds people who already have nothing to lose. And that is why he is stationed here. That's why he was able to find so many people who are willing to do whatever he wants. And he's willing to give them powers that make them extraordinary.
Extraordinary is one way of putting it.
Now, they don't seem to be using this out in the open, otherwise I would have heard of this.
Well, at least 2 of them were. When we walked out of the bank.
He used it right in front of you.
I'm talking before the events of tonight, because obviously we just ran into the shadow tonight. Of course, we're going to run into his cronies as well. I'm talking about in general daylight hours.
But when you know something isn't there, you're not inclined to see it. And everybody knows that all the talented folk in the realm are at one. And so when you have children doing things that are surprising, it's just children doing things that are surprising. It's certainly not talented folk.
Well, that at least helps us narrow down and get a hold on children that have made contact with this shadow. I am still low on Pallet Knights.
At this point, how many did you say there were?
13 or so.
13.
I saw 13. And
That's over half the total number of Pallet Knights in the realm.
there are at least 13. That's how many I saw. And I wouldn't say I have on good authority, but I have been told that they are all here in the city.
Well, if they are all here in the city, the Shadow certainly has quite the force. If he so desired, he could probably do a whole lot of damage whenever it wished.
You saw the square at the ferry dock.
Mm-hmm.
The man there was the Shadow, and the people around him are his children.
Mm-hmm. So I gathered. I'm talking about trying to find him while he continues to be here in this area.
Whatever.
At this point, it should, now that we know what to look for, it should be rather on the simpler side to follow the trail back to him, since there are so many of them.
Whatever they are to him, I don't know. I don't know what it is they do. My job was specific. I don't know what they do. But they're important to him.
I imagine so. Talented people in general are very needed, especially in these times.
Although if he can make them whenever he wants. But those kids are important to him. They're more important to him than taking out a very dangerous loose end. Unless I'm...
So they're an investment that he's unwilling to lose at this point. You say he can make... It can make talented individuals, but it
might be
evidently can't do it very easily.
might not have enough resources to keep on doing it.
I mean, 13, 14 more. I won't say he only began 3 months ago, but it wasn't long before that, if it was more. And if he has that many in that much time.
Finding him's going to be the easy part.
That's what it's sounding like.
And you can't just go in guns a-blazing. The
situation here is the amount of the 13 having the 13 talented individuals in any case already tips the scales firmly in the shadows side of the ring.
Sure seems to be unlucky timing given the giant war going on that's consuming all the other mages.
Exactly. I mean, like I said, as far as forces go that can counteract 13 talented individuals and a shadow, I have one Talent Knight.
Don't trust them with talent too much.
Yes. It seems that from this new information that you've given me, my city has been totally and thoroughly occupied.
Sounds like it.
Well, that's just defeatist.
Well,
I don't know what he intends to do with them, but the concept of him building a small army is not out of the question.
it seems like he's already done so.
We don't know what the time frame was.
Indeed.
You're saying 2 months. That's presuming that he waited until you were outed to begin creating a plan B. Somehow he doesn't come across like that.
I don't think he only started when I was out of commission, but I don't think he went into full swing until
He's
then.
had the money flowing for the last 2 years to one to pay for you.
Where would his money come from? Can shadows just fabricate gold?
No, so you're actually the answer to that, or the question, or you should be. You are the closest thing we have as an answer to that. Who was your gang leader's patron? This Timaeus.
It's one and the same.
Wherever that Timaeus was financing him, he was financing Shadow. It was all done by cash, so there's no traceability.
Assuming Theraline isn't the shadow himself.
You have no reason to believe that shadows can fabricate coinage out of nothing.
Is it possible for me to freeze the funds of the account and...
Oh yeah.
Well,
You
you consider it done.
Spook them even more.
Well,
They already
they probably already made
East
off
of
with-
East is dead. Literally at this point.
Yeah.
And the individual that had access to that money is no more. So
It's
By the
practically
way, can I
frozen
get
anyway.
the residue of that account?
Residue?
whatever
He
money,
didn't drain the account before he died, an unfortunate death by
I don't think you've got the capacity to just give away
No, I don't have that kind of power.
the bank.
Oh, and you've got friends all over the bank.
Oh. I've got better things to use those friendships for.
Let's not talk about those kind of dealings in front of me, please. That's quite a pickle you guys are leaving me with.
Sucks to be you.
It does indeed. All right, I was aware there was a treasonous plot going on. Now it seems there is a shadowy treasonous plot going on.
Well,
which
wouldn't you rather know?
and my city is being occupied.
But hey, you've got a name now.
Timaeus.
And to know being on the lookout for a baker's dozen of talented kids.
I don't think anybody wants to find them.
Honestly, I don't have anybody that could probably be in a position to nab or arrest them.
But you could watch them. You could follow them.
He's
Not you, your people.
Recently, I got a list of names that Arliss was able to give me. That was pretty neat.
And we got you one more?
Yeah, you got me one more name.
I'm sorry, I didn't realize you invited us to dinner to have us listening to you whine.
Sorry if that's what came across.
So long as dining goes with it, I'll take it. So what are the other names?
For the ones Arliss gave me?
Yeah.
People.
Really, we get you.
Yeah.
I get you Sadeos as a
There's
name.
Centurions' names on there. Quite a few Centurions. Quite lovely. I wouldn't want to think that there were Centurions that were in on the shadow plot, but at this point,
Yeah, your book was not about the shadow plot.
it was not about the shadow plot at
Yours
all.
was,
I understand.
Yeah.
It had more to do with the other easty side.
Seems more likely the shadow would be in on the Centurion plot.
Could be. The bank's just money.
If the shadow was into,
Yeah, useful to do whatever
slave
else you
trade.
want.
I'd imagine so, but at this point I don't have a good clean through line. That would be very lovely though if I could tie a shadow to a centurion. That would upset things a whole lot and maybe turn the whole government a little bit, have them go a little bit more introspective.
What would you do if you could? Let's say you had documentation.
Oh, if I had the documentation, if I had the evidence, if
So what? Why wouldn't the other Centurions just protect them? Or just replace them with another of the same?
Perhaps. But at that point, crime's a crime. And I tend to make sure that justice follows.
Whatever else we'd like you to achieve for us, you did do what we asked you to do and be the power behind Andrew's whatever. And I thank you for that.
And I wish you all be speedily to get out of Eastside. Because apparently the further away from Eastside you are, the safer, especially you, will be. And I'll make sure that happens.
No, there's really anywhere safe at the moment.
No, not really.
I mean...
In all fairness, the shadow moved from Wand to Eastside.
He wasn't in Wand.
Sure showed up a lot.
He was in what? And that's not my business. Well, it will be, but not thoroughly.
He didn't have a permanent residence in Wand.
I heard something happened down there.
I should tell you, when I encountered this shadow, we had a chat, and he acquired all of the information that was on my halo. Most of it was information he already had. That's not a celebration, it's just a fact. But the one thing he got that he didn't have before was phone numbers, halo numbers, contacts, and you are in my contact list.
Oh, so I get a direct phone line to him at some point?
If he calls you first.
Oh, that would be lovely.
Can you buy me a new Halo?
Just if that ever happens, I'm sorry, and it's not, there's no how did you get this number.
You got it from you.
Yeah, there's nothing he can do besides, try to threaten you. I suggest you hang up on him if he tries that. I'm not saying you need to run and hide, but
I'm pretty sure the Shadow wants me dead in East Side. It can probably do so tomorrow. But on that,
he has your number.
he's
That's
got
all.
my number. Well, knowledge is half the battle, I guess. Well, thank you for telling me. I'd love to have a little chat with the Shadow if he does call, but it probably would be very one-sided and just me not getting very much room to talk.
You're gonna monologue at him?
Oh, it would be great.
Good luck with that.
Who is Timaeus?
Yes,
I don't know.
I can try looking into it. Do you have a specific area in East Side to look into?
Yeah, on east side.
I'll look into it.
Wherever the money is flowing from.
There's probably more information I can give you about this shadow and his methods, and I will pass that along in due time if you would like.
Fund the shadow.
I can.
The shadow's in cahoots with the bank as well. The bank informed the shadow that we were there. I was actually hoping, I didn't want to ask you this, but if you do get the chance to go back to the bank and are feeling immortal, ask them who they told, because he said they have connections with the bank. As soon as we arrived, he knew we were there, and he knew what we were looking at. The bank is in cahoots with the shadow. It's not east of east. There is no middleman.
Okay, well.
Not.
At that point, I was like, okay, Shadow, I got. Let's.
Coming out of your
I
desk.
was like. At this point, I'm like, hey, Army.
Oh, the money's kind of busy.
Hey, Army. Shadow's using the bank. Palin Knights. Shadow is taking money from you. Please, somebody. Yeah, but that's going to be later. That's going to be later. I'm not going to do any more business over meal.